Hi guys, glad you could join me for another Lore of the Cards, the series that looks to inform you about the lore associated with your Hearthstone deck. Today, I'll be taking you on a magical journey as we uncover the story of one of the Shaman's spells, the card that leaves many struck dumb, Earthshock. The art of the card is the work of Kevin Chin, an artist based in Austin, Texas, who predominantly works for King's Isle Entertainment as a concept artist. King's Isle specialise in making family-friendly online games such as Wizard 101 and Pirate 101, neither of which I've played. Before this, he has worked with several other game studios, working on the concept art for Disney Interactive's Epic Mickey 2 and many other developers as well. In between these projects, Chin also works as a freelance artist, and it's during this downtime that he's created his Warcraft card art and some Warhammer 40k art too. His Blizzard art credits include 2007 holiday art, the mighty Tauren, known as Gammon, and of course Earthshock, which appears to depict a shaman that readers of the Warcraft comics may be familiar with. But before we launch into who's in the art, let's take a look at the spell. Shock spells in World of Warcraft are elemental instant casts wielded by the Shaman class, with additional effects besides their damage. So, for example, Frost Shock slows the Shaman's attacker's movement speed to a near crawl, and Flame Shock slowly burns the enemy for additional damage over time on top of its initial shock damage. Earthshock has gone through several iterations. Currently, the additional effect will reduce an enemy's attack power by 10%, but before this, the spell was used as an interrupt, preventing an adversary from casting a spell and locking them out from the elemental school for a few seconds. It is the older version of Earthshock that we see being put into use in Hearthstone. Because, you know, a silence is a lot more helpful than reducing your opponent's fairy dragon's attack to 2.7. The shaman depicted in the Earthshock card is one of the most respected and decorated of his kind amongst the Orcish race, Rehgar Earthfury. From harsh, violent beginnings soaked in blood, Rehgar would later become advisor to the Horde's war chief. He was born on the Orcish homeworld of Draenor, to a clan warring with a band of ogres. During an ogre attack that devastated his clan, Rehgar made his first kill at a very young age. The tiny orc was able to defeat a fully grown ogre, plunging a dagger into its chest. Rather than kill Rehgar, the ogre chief saw an opportunity. Impressed by Rehgar's ferocity, the chief intended to use him as a training tool for the young ogre warriors. This was a decision the ogre would soon come to regret. By facing Rehgar off against larger, physically stronger opponents, the ogre chief inadvertently trained him as well. Instead of training the new ogre recruits, Rehgar was killing them. In order to recoup his losses, the ogre sold the young orc back to his race to fight in arenas, with great success. Rehgar's prowess in battle saw him being selected as one of the first orcs to venture through the Dark Portal, leaving the now barren Draenor, which had deteriorated after the orcs were corrupted by the Burning Legion, to invade the lush world of Azeroth. The orcs' invasion started strongly, obliterating the mighty city of Stormwind and driving the humans back. Even with the aid of gnomes, elves and dwarves, the humans and their new alliance struggled to hold back the orcs, goblins, ogres and trolls which formed the Horde. Eventually, due to rifts and infighting amongst the Horde, the alliance prevailed. The orcs that were not slaughtered were imprisoned in internment camps. Rehgar was among the prisoners. While many orcs grew listless and lost their will to fight, Rehgar was one of the few that did not. His stubbornness once again saw him being sold on to fight for others' amusement. Lord Agravain became his new owner. This is literally the only thing Agravain does in Warcraft lore. Again, the restless Rehgar could not be subjugated and escaped his new owner. Despite escaping and winning his freedom, Rehgar had only known one thing: fighting. He yet again found himself competing in underground gladiatorial battles to survive, and, as before, he was very successful. With his success he found fame and riches, which meant he no longer had to be the combatant in the arena. He became a gladiator master, purchasing the Black Rock Orc Bloodeye Redfist, just like he had been. Bloodeye was a troublemaker, and was in the process of being arrested in Booty Bay when Rehgar found him. Through the way in which Bloodeye fought his captors, Rehgar saw his potential. There were many similarities between the two. Bloodeye too had been born to a life of war, losing his eye in a fight at the age of 7. Rehgar sought to hone Bloodeye's skills and create one hell of a fighter. Around the same time, the Orc warchief Thrall led his people away from the Eastern Kingdoms across the sea to the lands of Kalimdor. Thrall was also reviving the Orcs' traditional ways of shamanism. Rehgar followed his leader's example, crossing the sea and studying the ways of the shaman. In Kalimdor, ogres had taken over a section of an abandoned Night Elven city, and it became known as Dire Maul. Contestants and spectators alike flocked to this giant gladiatorial arena, as did Rehgar and Bloodeye. The two dominated the competition, Bloodeye defeating all that faced him in single combat. From their victories the two orcs grew very rich, and with his earnings Bloodeye bought his freedom. He was clearly fond of his former master, as he set up a little business venture with Rehgar. Bloodeye had not yet grown bored of fighting, and looked to win the team competition at the next Dire Maul event. He and Rehgar pooled their funds and bought 2 fighters to become Bloodeye's teammates, the Night Elf Druid Brawl Bearmantle and the Blood Elf Rogue Valera Sanguinar. Literally, the day after Valera was purchased, Bloodeye was murdered. An orc female poisoned him, whose mate had been killed by Bloodeye in gladiatorial combat. With his last breath, Bloodeye hurled the tankard, holding the poisoned beverage at the female's head, and killed her as well. That's one mean throw for a dying guy. After Bloodeye's cremation, this left Rehgar in a tight spot. He just spent his money buying 2 slaves inexperienced in arena combat, and his team leader had just been killed. He needed to find a 3rd member and train up an inexperienced team in 1 month, or risk financial ruin. Luck and determination was on Rehgar's side. While travelling to Orgrimmar, Rehgar found a human washed up on the shores of Durotar. The human was attacked by a huge crocolisk, armed only with his wits and a stick. The human, who later turns out to be one half of the lost king of Storm in Varian Wren, yeah, it gets pretty complicated. A later video, I think. Anyway, the human was victorious. Rehgar, as with Bloodeye, immediately saw the human's fighting potential, and asked his name. He couldn't remember, making it a lot easier for Rehgar. He knocked the human out and drafted him into the team. Brawl struggled with his rage. Valera was too rash, but the human, now dubbed Crocbait, was a natural fighter and leader. Despite not liking their master and their plans to escape, under Rehgar's harsh tutelage, the 3 banded together and became a strong fighting unit. So strong, they were actually able to win the Dire Maul team contest. Rehgar using his shamanistic magic to heal his fighters between bouts. Since they were unknown contestants, the gamblers underestimated them, and Rehgar kept raking in the cash. After the contest, Rehgar sold Valera off for 2,000 gold to a gladiator master looking to form an all-woman team. Valera would never fight in this team, as she would promptly escape. Rehgar took Crocbait and Brawl to Thunderbluff to find a Tauren team member to give the team more physical power. When in Thunderbluff, Rehgar and his gladiators met with the Archdruid Hamul Rune Totem, who gave Crocbait a hippogriff feather as a gift. Brawl used the feather to call a hippogriff to escape their master. As his cash cows ran off, Hamul noticed Rehgar taking the loss quite calmly. Rehgar responds,
"At Dire Maul, I recouped my investment in those 2 1,000 times over. I knew this day was coming. A man is truly a prisoner only as long as he agrees to remain one. After that, in his heart at least, he is free. And where his heart is, his body may follow if his will is strong enough. And I'm an old hand, Hummel. I recognize a hippogriff feather when I see one. I know what they can do in the right hands.
After this, Rehgar gave up on being a gladiator master. He no longer cared for the profit, and offered his services to War Chief Thrall as an advisor. Thrall took on Rehgar, and one of the first key events he was involved in was a peace summit between Alliance and Horde. Thrall, Rehgar and Hellscream all travelled to Theramore to meet with Lady Jaina Proudmoore, Varian Wrynn, who had regained his memories and throne, and Valeera. Thrall and Rehgar sought to create trade links with the Alliance, easing the tension between the two factions. The young Garrosh, however, sought to assess Theramore's defences, as he believed the Orcs did not need to barter for peace. They could take what they needed by force. Despite owning Varian and Valeera, Rehgar's conversing with the pair is surprisingly good-natured. While the two resent him for owning them, they are also clearly thankful that he brought the team together and created 3 extremely close companions. The summit was going so well, Thrall and Varian finding common ground as they had both been gladiators, slaves, and were now rulers. However, towards the end of the meeting, the Twilight Hammer, a cult that sought the end of the world, attacked. The cultists attacked using races associated with both the Alliance and the Horde. Because of the Alliance races, Garrosh blamed the Alliance for launching the attack, and because of the Horde races, Varian blamed the Horde. The summit ended in disaster, both factions taking great offence at the other's accusations of treachery. Garrosh had seen the summit as an embarrassment to the Orcs, and as a result openly questioned Thrall's leadership when they returned to Orgrimmar. Rehgar advised Thrall that he must nip this dissent in the bud. Thrall concurred and goaded Garrosh into a challenge to Mak'gora, a battle for honour and to determine leadership within the Horde. The battle was interrupted, however, by an invasion from the undead Scourge. Who had the upper hand in this battle is kind of blurry, as in game, Garrosh seems to be on the brink of a win, but in the comic, Thrall clearly has the upper hand on Garrosh. Rehgar would soon be called away on another mission, becoming a member of the new Council of Tirisfal to put a stop to the Twilight Hammer cult's leader Cho'Gall and his mad bid to destroy the world. Thrall was originally invited by Jaina to the council, but asked Rehgar go in his stead, as he had a war with the Scourge to prepare for. Cho'Gall had been corrupted and twisted by the old god Cthulhu. Old gods seek to shape Azeroth into a twisted hellhole. As a result, Cho'Gall had become extremely powerful, and could not be defeated by a single hero. Jaina sought to create a new Guardian to deal with this threat. Originally, the Guardian was selected by a secret council of Dalaran Magi. The Chosen was used to combat demons that slip through into the world of Azeroth. The council would transfer their powers to the individual selected, making them a being of huge power. They found this to be the most effective way of combating the demons. However, this practice was stopped when the Guardian Medivh became possessed by the Lord of the Burning Legion, Sargeras, and brought ruin to Azeroth. One of his actions was to open the portal that allowed the Orcs to begin their invasion. Jaina saw no alternative but to revive this tradition, and had picked the perfect conduit for the job, Medan, son of Medivh, a part human, orc and Draenei hybrid who had an affinity for all magic schools. This was important, as the blue dragon aspect Malygos was restricting the effectiveness of arcane magic that had once exclusively fueled the Guardians. Malygos believed that mortals wielding the arcane was more trouble than it was worth. To get around this issue, Jaina found practitioners of nature magic and the Holy Light to help power Medan in his battle against Cho'Gall. The council, made up of Rehgar, Hamul Runetotem, Jaina, Broll and many others, transferred their powers to Medan, who was able to defeat Cho'Gall, but not kill him. believe it or not, Rehgar is still to make an appearance in World of Warcraft. So there you have it, from restless slave driver to peace-seeking advisor. I really hope Rehgar makes an appearance in the Warcraft game soon. Thanks for watching everyone, like and subscribe if you want to see more of this series, and give it a share if you think others will like it. If you have any corrections or suggestions for cards, let me know in the comments. I'll be looking to release these every fortnight now, so expect a video on Edwin Van Cleef in a couple of weeks. See you all next time. Bye bye.